At exactly 1 p.m., everything changed. A moment no one noticed. A moment hidden behind royal protocol, cameras, and perfect smiles. But for Princess Leonor and Prince Christian, it was the beginning of something powerful, forbidden, and unforgettable. And once you hear what happened at that exact minute, you'll never see their story the same way again. Like and subscribe to Future Queen Chronicle for more daily royal update. Love looks predictable. Love follows patterns. Love arrives when we expect it. That's what everyone believes. But they're wrong. Because at exactly 1 p.m., in a quiet royal courtyard hidden from the world, one single moment shattered every assumption about Princess Leonor and Prince Christian. A moment so delicate, so powerful, so unexpected. It changed everything. And the truth behind that moment is nothing like the world has been told. It began on a warm afternoon, sunlight pouring through the old Danish palace windows like soft gold. Leonor had just finished a private briefing, the kind filled with diplomacy, security notes, and the unspoken pressure of her future crown. She walked through the hall with her usual grace, but her mind was heavy, her heart unsettled. Spain wanted perfection, Denmark wanted stability, and somewhere between the two nations, she was trying to remember what it felt like to simply be human. Christian noticed it long before she said anything. He had watched her move differently that morning, more quietly, more slowly, as if carrying an invisible weight. He knew her well enough to see the shift no one else could. And at exactly 12:57 p.m., he made a decision that would change both their lives. He stepped out of a scheduled meeting, ignoring the startled looks of his advisors, and walked toward the courtyard where the sun always fell just right. Because he knew, by intuition, by instinct, by love, that she needed him. Leonor arrived there at precisely 1 o'clock. She wasn't meeting anyone. She wasn't supposed to be there. She simply needed air, just a breath away from duty. But she wasn't alone. Christian stood waiting, his expression soft, his posture calm, as if he'd been expecting her all day. Her surprise flickered in her eyes. But what happened next? That was the real secret. He didn't ask what was wrong. He didn't pry. He simply held out his hand. For a future queen raised in discipline, perfection, and silence, that small gesture broke something open inside her. She placed her hand in his, slowly, uncertain, trembling. And the world seemed to still around them. This was the moment. The royal moment no one saw. The moment that changed everything. Leonor's voice cracked before the words even formed. Christian, I don't know if I can do all of this. Not the crown, not the marriage, not the expectation of being two things at once. A Spanish monarch in training, and a Danish royal by love. He didn't react with shock or disappointment. He stepped closer. He cupped her face gently between his hands. And he whispered, "You don't have to do it alone." This wasn't sweet reassurance. This wasn't romantic theatrics. This was truth. Truth powerful enough to tear down months of silent fear. But that wasn't the moment that changed their relationship. Not yet. The world-changing moment came seconds later, when Christian revealed something he had never told anyone, not even his own family. "There's something you don't know," he whispered. "My role in Denmark, it's changing. Because of you." Leonor froze. Because that sentence carried consequences. Real ones. Political ones. Personal ones. He explained it quietly, carefully. For months, the Danish council had been debating how Christian's position should evolve now that he was married to a future monarch of another nation. Some believed he should remain fully tied to Denmark. Others believed he should divide his time between two countries. And a few feared something far more complicated. That one day, Christian's loyalty might be pulled not by politics, but by love. Leonor listened, heart pounding. She had always feared that her crown might one day become a burden on him. But she never imagined that councils and advisors were debating the identity of her husband behind closed doors. Christian pressed her hands against his chest, letting her feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "I need you to understand something," he said softly. "My identity is not a title. It is not a position. It is not a document. It is not a country's fear." He leaned closer. "My identity is the man who chooses you. Every day." Her breath caught. Her eyes softened. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, she felt safe. This was the deeper secret. The one no camera captured. No advisor documented. No palace ever intended to reveal. Christian had already made his decision long before that afternoon. A decision rooted in quiet determination. He would reshape his royal role around his marriage. Not the other way around. He would support her throne, her identity, her destiny, her future, not because duty demanded it, but because love guided it. And that moment, that exact moment, at exactly 1 p.m., became the turning point in their marriage, their future, and the relationship between Spain and Denmark. But why? What happened after? The first curiosity loop begins here. Leonor, empowered by Christian's confession, finally spoke a truth she had been hiding. "Sometimes I feel like Spain wants me more than they want us." Those words hit him deeply. He had been raised in a stable, peaceful monarchy. He never imagined how heavy an heir's training could be. The scrutiny, the pressure, the expectations that wrapped around Leonor like invisible chains. He didn't just comfort her. He made another vow, one he had never planned to say aloud. "I will protect our marriage from becoming a political possession." This promise would lead them into conflict with advisors, councils, and at times even their own families. Because neither monarchy ever expected two heirs to build a love strong enough to challenge outdated rules. But that afternoon, under warm sunlight, they didn't know where their promises would lead. They only knew this: they were stronger together. And then something even more unexpected happened. Christian pulled a small folded note from his jacket pocket. He had been carrying it for weeks, unsure when or how to show it to her. But here, in this quiet courtyard, surrounded only by the soft echo of birds and wind, he finally opened it. Inside was a hand-drawn diagram. A future. A plan. A life mapped between two countries. Denmark on the left. Spain on the right. A shared center marked only with her initials and his. Leonor's breath shook. Her lips parted. She couldn't speak. "Whatever crowns expect," Christian said softly, "I want our home to be this. A place between worlds, built by us, not forced on us." This wasn't symbolism. This wasn't fantasy. This was preparation. The preparation of a husband who understood the complexity of marrying a sovereign in training. But that diagram held something else. Something Leonor didn't notice until she looked closer. A tiny note written at the top. "We choose our story." This single sentence became the foundation of their future. A future that would soon be tested. Because what happened after this moment shocked both royal families. When Leonor, later that day, returned to her duties, her entire posture had changed. Shoulders lifted, eyes alive, voice steady. Something warmed inside her. Something awakened. Something undeniable. The Spanish council noticed. Queen Letizia noticed. So did Felipe. The entire palace saw a shift they could not identify. What they didn't know was that their daughter had finally found a space where she could breathe, not as a queen in training, but as a woman loved beyond her title. The next curiosity loop begins here. Word reached Denmark that Leonor and Christian had shared a long private moment. Not the details, never the details. But the advisors sensed a deepening bond. And that bond made them nervous. What if Christian changed? What if marriage shifted his priorities? What if his devotion to Leonor redirected his future responsibilities? These whispers grew louder in Danish political circles. Some even argued Christian should step back from certain duties until the councils clarified his long-term role. But when confronted, Christian surprised everyone. He stood tall. He spoke clearly. "My commitment to Leonor strengthens my commitment to Denmark, not the opposite." This declaration stunned the room. Because it revealed something no advisor had considered. Love had made him more responsible, more focused, more grounded, more prepared for the future. Meanwhile, Leonor felt a similar transformation in Spain. During her weekly briefings, she showed confidence that felt deeper. Not rehearsed, not pressured, but organic. Her answers grew sharper. Her strategic understanding deepened. Her emotional resilience strengthened. And her parents noticed. Felipe asked her privately, "What changed?" She smiled gently. "Everything." But she didn't name Christian. She didn't need to. Love had made her stronger. Not softer. Not distracted. Stronger. And this strength would soon lead to the most shocking outcome of all. Not a scandal. Not a crisis. Not a political breakdown. A proposal. Not a marriage proposal. They were already married. This was different. A proposal to rewrite a centuries-old understanding between two monarchies. Christian suggested that when Leonor ascends the Spanish throne, he should maintain a dual cultural role. Not a dual monarchy, but a dual presence, representing unity between Denmark and Spain. Leonor supported it privately. Felipe listened carefully. Letizia asked questions. The Danish council debated endlessly. And then, against all expectations, both royal families agreed, because they saw something undeniable. This marriage wasn't a burden. It was a bridge, a modern, living symbol of unity, that neither country could afford to underestimate. And it all began at exactly 1 o'clock in a sunlit courtyard. A place where love broke protocol. Where truth softened fear. Where two destinies intertwined without permission. A moment that lasted minutes, but changed a future that would last decades. The world never saw it. No camera recorded it. No advisor scripted it. No historian documented it. But that one private moment became the quiet heartbeat of a new royal era. An era defined not by arranged duty, but by chosen devotion. Leonor and Christian walked out of that courtyard as the same people who walked in. Yet completely transformed. Because at 1 p.m., they didn't just share a moment. They made a decision that would rewrite how two nations understood love, duty, partnership, and destiny. The secret moment that changed them forever wasn't dramatic, wasn't loud, wasn't ceremonial. It was human, real, soft, yet powerful enough to shift the future. And this is the truth the world never saw. Great royal stories are not shaped in public. They're born in quiet spaces, in whispered confessions, in stolen moments of honesty, in promises spoken softly under the weight of history. Love at 1 p.m. wasn't an accident. It was destiny choosing the perfect moment to remind them who they were, and who they were meant to become.